Sway here, and welcome back to another video. So I know it's been a while since I actually posted my last Pokemon challenge, but I'm happy to say I'm going to be getting back into making challenge videos such as these ones. So if you enjoyed this video, and be sure to subscribe for future videos just like this. You know, we're getting closer to 2,000 subs, and I hope to get there by the end of the month, just because of the fact that we've been growing super fast. Like, bro, I made like 100 subs just in 1 month, which was the last month, which is crazy to think about, getting that many in a month. But be sure to comment on what challenge you guys want to see next, and I'll be, just happily to try and make that challenge happen, depending on what it is. But now getting into this video, I'm going to be trying to answer the question of can you beat Pokemon Black with only Tepig? Now, I've seen other challenge videos of this one, same very challenge in the past, and I'm very interested in trying this challenge myself. Now, before this, I was actually going to be trying to beat Pokemon Red with only a Pidgey, but sadly, I was streaming for Twitch, and I did not do clips of this, so, I couldn't, for one, I didn't have anything saved, and since it didn't save on Twitch, I had no footage, so it inspired me to try this challenge itself, and now we're here. But moving on to this challenge, and moving on to Tepig's moveset, we can see that his best moves or most efficient moves were going to be Tackle, Ember, and Flame Charge for the beginning part of this run, until we learn strong moves such as Rollout at level 21, Flamethrower at level 33, and Flare Blitz at level 43. For TM moves, Tepig gets a decent variety, now I think anyway. I don't know what is considered good, but he'll be most likely be using Grass Knot, Return, Fire Blast, and even Double Team if needed as well. But now getting into the challenge rules, which is number 1, we can only use Tepig in battle, however we can use other Pokemon for HM moves to get around the map. Number 2, we can't use any items in battle, however we can use held items such as the Quick Claw, as well as other Pokeballs to catch Pokemon or progress around if for some reason one of my HM Pokemon are dragged out from moves such as Roar. And finally, number 3, we can't use any glitches, and sadly, because I'm using a DS emulator, I can't speed the game up, which means this is going to take an extremely much longer amount of time, meaning if I'm, playing for 20 hours, it literally will take 20 hours, not no speed up time being like 10 hours, no, 20. Hopefully it doesn't take that long though. But yeah, now that the challenge rules out of the way, let's go ahead and actually start this challenge. So we start the game by choosing our starter, and for this run, I want to get Adamant Nature. And the only problem with this is that you can't check your nature until after you battle Sharon and Bianca. But I'll persist in getting this nature, which by the way has a 1 in 25 chance of actually getting it. And this is because Tepig is more of a physical attacker, which means I need more attack, and the decrease of special attack is something I'm willing to give up. But I don't think you guys believe me when I tell you that this, I spent not 1, not 2, not even 3, bruh, but 7 hours trying to get this nature. I started to try and get this nature at 6 in the morning, and I didn't get it until about 1 o'clock when I was getting off to go clean. So yeah, not even started the challenge yet, and I already wasted half the day, but hopefully it'll be worth it later on. Anyway, after defeating Sharon and Bianca, we head over to Communal Town where we see Team Plasma for the first time. And get this, who starts yapping the whole entire time until him and the other grunts actually leave, leaving Team Plasma leader and staying behind and winning the battle us. And the only Pokemon right now is Purloin, so after a couple of hits from Tackle, we're able to take it out. Moving on, I stop en route 2 to grab up a few levels before having our second rival battle against Bianca. Bianca's first Pokemon up is a Lillipup, who gets super low with attack before it goes for Leer and heals up. But on the next turn we use that healing up to our advantage, and we're able to hit Lillipup twice with a Tackle to take it out. Bianca's last Pokemon is her Snivy, who hits us a little damage with Tackle before going down to 2 tackles of our own. We walk a few steps to the next city and make our way to the trainer school for a rival battle number 2 against Sharon. First out is Oshawa, who takes a good amount of damage from Tackle to take out because he had an Oran Berry, but eventually it goes down. Last out is Perlin, who takes a Tackle and uses assist and actually gets Water Gun somehow, which does a good amount of damage against us, but luckily Tepig takes the hit and one more tackle is enough to take down the Perlin for another easy rival battle fight. Levels higher level 15, we go to Trowens, a Straighten City gym, and since we chose Tepig for our starter, we have to fight against the water user Cress. He first sends out a Lillipup, and I'm able to outspeed it and hit it with Flame Charge for more than half of its health before taking a pretty weak bite, but after this we'll reduce Flame Charge again and take it out. Chris then sends out the scary Pokemon, the only scary one he actually has, which is his final Pokemon, and we start using tackles against it to forcing it to use its Oran Berry, and then we get it down to the lowest possible health that we can before we get hit with Water Gun, and damn, we're dropped to 10 HP, bruh. Chris then uses a potion and heals up, but this is useless as we're able to use 2 more tackles and take it out, winning us our first badge of the run. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, every time I've played Gen 5, I've always had to grind up at least to 20 levels to be able to beat the gym leader with my starter, but luckily I was able to beat him at just level 15. So yeah, perhaps the 7 hours was actually worth it after all, but you know, after bullying some kids at the daycare, we get chased down by Charon for another fight. And to be honest with you, I think Charon just wants to lose at this point. I mean, he didn't even attack at all when he was using Oshawott, which by the way, as of right now, is his only Pokemon on his team who is actually super effective against me. But we're able to take out his Oshawott with just a few tackles, and then his Purloin fails to hit me with the Fury Swipes and goes down to 2 tackles. I know that Charon will get harder later on, but still this is just embarrassing on how bad he's just losing to me right now out of the, 3 battles we've had so far? And especially this one was just embarrassing, bro. I mean, what was he thinking? But we make our way to Nacrane City when we're trying to enter the gym. We're approached by N, who wants to battle us again. He sends out Pidove, who hits us with a quick attack for a little damage, and then he manages to take a flame charge. He goes for a quick attack again and leaves us with just a little bit more than half health before going down to another flame charge. His second Pokemon out is a Time Bull, who we hit with flame charge before, damn bro, he drops us to 15 HP. Luckily though, Tackle can take it out before we die to another bubble. However, N's last Pokemon is a Temper, who luckily goes for low kick with just absolutely nothing to my boy Tepig, as he's out here eating these hits up like they're nothing. And after a few tackles in retaliation, we bring down the Timber and win our battle against N. Yeah, alright, now I'm gonna keep it brief. This battle with Lenora sucked, and I'm gonna explain exactly why it sucked. And to be honest, the truth is just her Pokemon are really beefy and strong. I mean, Herdiar's takedowns do so much damage to Tepig, and even if I could take it out, Watchog just comes and just retaliate every single time. Not to mention that this man outspeeds me every single time. Now I don't want to grind for a long time for this fight, so I just keep trying over and over and over again. And I mean, I tried using rollouts, but it takes almost every single one of my rollouts to take out the Herdier, and that's even if I manage to survive all of its hits. Not to mention, hit my shots in general. But since Watchog can outspeed me, I can't even land that last hitting rollout to take it out. But a few more attempts later, and this happens. Herdier comes out, and I just start spamming defense curls to hopefully survive more hits from Herdier. And hopefully survive or retaliate as well from Watchog. And I get it dropped to 8 HP, bruh. And then use one rollout to take it out since it was low from spamming a bunch of takedowns in general. Watchog then comes out, and I dodge the Hypnobus hit with rollout and get it low, so she goes for a super potion, and then one more rollout takes it out, and finally, man, I finally did it, bro. I seriously thought that I was gonna die just right then and there. Like, if she didn't go for hypnosis and I didn't miss, I definitely would have lost there. But I'm just happy to finally beat that gym. And also, I'm sorry if that didn't even make any sense, but I've just said this whole script part 5 different times, and I'm done with it. He next sends out Dwebble, who gets crushed by one rollout for a one-shot, and then Berg's last Pokemon is a Lavani, who does very little damage with Leaf Blade, but for also getting crushed by rollout for a one-shot, which wins us our 3rd gym badge. We have another rival battle against Bianca, and she first sends out her Herdier. Now I wanted to use rollout so that I was able to one-shot all of her Pokemon with ease, but Herdier kept eating all of my hits. Luckily though, I forced Bianca to use both of her Super Potions before Herdier finally goes down. She next sends out Panpour, who gets one-shotted by my last rollout, and then she sends out Muno. I was able to take out Muno with a critical hit, Flame Charge due to my skill blends, and then she just barely survives my Flame Charge on the brink of death, and tried to suck me dry, but that fails, and I take it out with one Flame Charge to win me the battle against Bianca. After being a Rugrat in the desert, I battle against Sharon, and Sharon first sends out a Pidove, who just barely survives a rollout. We get hit for a little damage by Air Cutter before a second rollout takes it out. Next is the scariest Pokemon, Dewott, and we go for our 3rd rollout, which, nice man, we get a critical hit rollout for a one-shot. Next out is Panzer, who gets instantly obliterated by a rollout, and then Leopard is Sharon's final Pokemon, who meets the same fate and falls to a 4 times power rollout for the win. After fighting all the trainers in the desert resort, we go to Nimbasa City, where we run into N again. And this would be a great, except for the fact that he just takes us on a Ferris wheel where he just won't stop yapping. But finally, when we get off the Ferris wheel, N tells us to battle him to avoid the other plasma grunts from getting us suspicious. N starts off with Sandal, who despite being a ground type does absolutely nothing against me, and I'm able to take it out with a few hits from rollout. Next out is Durmaka, who gets instantly one-shotted by rollout, and the next comes out Scraggy, and are you serious right now, bruh? My rollout misses and he hits me with a break rate for minimum damage before I take it out with a lucky critical hit flamethrower, W Skip wins, by the way. Also, I said that really fast, but it's whatever. But N's last Pokemon is a Sigilyph, and I was actually scared about this one because in the Desert Resort, when I was Tepig, was actually getting packed by Sigilyph. But luckily, one Raw does half damage, and then this man uses Whirlwind and drags Cutout. I just throw Pokeballs to activate the next turn, and Sigilyph just annihilates Cut. Finally though, Pigwiggy comes back out, and after getting hit pretty low with the Fuzz Beam, I'm able to use one final rollout to take this Flying Rock out, winning me the battle against N. Not gonna lie, I would have been pretty mad if I lost this, cause then I would have had to go through this entire long yapping session again. Before we battle the gym, I stop and pick up the move Return because it's a lot stronger and more efficient than Takedown. I'm not sure how I'm gonna use this in the next gym, but it's good to have in general anyway. But now finally we have to challenge the Nimbasa City gym. Oyster's first Pokemon now is Amoga, and she starts with Volt Switch, which does little damage and swaps out to her second Amoga. I hit with Return, which leaves it just on barely any health left, and then Elisa heals with the Hyper Potion. I switch over to Rollout, hoping for it to be more effective, and it deals a little bit more than half of its health, but then I get paralyzed and she uses Volt Switch again and brings the other Amoga back out again. Rollout hits and completely annihilates it, and then she switches back to her other Amoga, which hits me with the Volt Switch and brings me down to 28 HP and brings out some Strika. Sadly though, Paralysis kicks in and ends my Rollout train, and I switch over to Return, but since Tepig is slow, I get outsped and it uses Spark, which takes me out. Second attempt, I start with Rollout and I hit Amoga with Rollout for a little more than half of its health, and then they play the Volt Switch game, and once you look at that bird, of course Amoga avoids the attack. And from this point, I just felt bad for Tepig because bro was just getting smacked around and paralyzed until eventually he faded. I tried many more times, such as using other moves like Return, which does a lot more damage than Rollout or Flamethrower on the first hit, but I still get paralyzed and sometimes I don't do enough damage to fully finish it off the Amoga, and it takes 2 hits to take out the Strika. And the worst part is the fact that she heals with the Strika, and since he outspeeds me, he is able to finish me off with the little health Tepig has left. I tried Flamethrower to avoid getting paralyzed, but it doesn't do enough damage, and since I'm not outspeeding at all with little damage, and Amoga constantly switching out with each other, using Full Switch plus healing, Tepig just isn't able to take all those hits, and he just faints. Rollout seems to be the best strategy, since not only is it super effective against Amoga, but it also increases damage each time it's used. The problem though is that there's a high chance of being paralyzed using it, and since Rollout is not also is not 100% accuracy, combining that with paralysis makes it less likely to actually hit for consecutive rounds. However, it wasn't completely useless. See, Amoga's ability static has like 30% chance of paralyzing the target if the physical attack is used on it, and even though 30% isn't that high, it still has a 1/3 chance of going into effect. However, since this is still pretty low, there are a few attempts where I didn't get paralyzed at all, which is exactly what I need to happen for me to win this. The rollout strategy seems to be the best. All I needed was a little bit of luck to not get paralyzed and rollout hitting, which sometimes doesn't work at all. Zero has a base accuracy of 90%, and each turn it's used, the damage doubles with the cost of accuracy going down, with the second then being 81% accuracy to 73 to 66, then the final turn being 59% chance of hitting. So the fifth hit, it's around 50% of you actually hitting, so basically it comes down to a coin flip. And yeah, when you look at it this way, it looks pretty bad, but the question is, will it work? Well, let's see. We first get hit with Volt Switch as usual, but then we hit with Rollout and no paralysis. We get hit with the second Volt Switch and then we land a Rollout, nice, which takes out Amoga, and wow, still no paralysis. The Strika comes out, and come on the third Rollout, are you serious, bro? Barely hangs on. She heals up with a Hyper Potion and please, yes, fourth Rollout lands and takes out the Strika. Back to Amoga, we take a Volt Switch, which brings us to 17 HP, and wow, we go for Rollout, and it hits, and she goes down her last Amoga, which finally, after 8 attempts and a little bit of luck, Rollout, and no paralysis, we finally defeat Elisa and win our 4th gym badge. I won't lie, this was a little annoying, mostly because of the fact that her Amoga kept swapping out with Volt Switch on top of them, always outspeeding me, and even paralyzing me on top of Rollout, not always hitting. Luckily though, we finally get a lucky run where everything worked, and I'm happy that I didn't have to grind because I honestly thought I would have had to need to, but hip hip hooray! Immediately after leaving Nimbasa City, we have another rival battle against Jaren. He first sends out a Liepard who makes me flinch and out from a fake out. After getting hit with a little bit of damage from Pursuit, I use 2 rolls against it and take it out. Next out to Watt, and we just barely survive Rollout with a Citra Berry. This doesn't matter though because he goes for Focus Energy and another Rollout is enough to finish it off. Pinsir doesn't stand a chance and dies immediately, and Tranquil just holds on for dear life after I use Return, but when we're Flamethrower is enough to take it out, winning us another fast but easy fight against Chern. After fighting against Team Plasma Guts again, we have our fight against Clay. He first ends out a Croc who gets one-shotted by return, and then Palpito comes out and just barely hangs on after A's return. I keep spamming return a few times while he uses Aqua Ring, and Clay uses his Hyper Potions, and eventually I take him out with the final return. Last Pokemon, and it's still full health, we got this. Excadrill comes out and hits us with Slash for decent damage, and we return, which isn't very effective, but it gets a little over half health. And then goes for a Rock Slide, which makes us flinch, and are you serious right now? We go for a turn again, and he outspeeds us, and Slash takes us out. I tried this fight many more times, and just nothing is working. I tried setting up rollouts for Rock, but not only does it not do a lot of damage, but it hits us with Swagger every time, and we take too much damage from Confusion and die. Then I try more times with just return, and I get all my health taken by Palpito from using Muddy Water and Bulldoze instead of Aqua Ring, and we would die instantly against Excadrill. I even tried using Rollout on Palpito instead, but it also isn't very effective because it's ground type, and when I manage to take it out, Excadrill always outspeeds me, and since I'm already low, I just die instantly. After many more attempts, I learned Grass Knot, which its damage depends on the weight of the opposing Pokemon. And Grass Knot itself is good in this situation, but the problem is that I'm not able to one-shot Palpito, and after he uses both of his heals and gets a good 1 or 2 hits on me, I'm low against Excadrill. And again, it outspeeds me and finishes me off. I even try using the Miracle Seed to boost the Grass Knot's power, but I swear the damage boost is non-existent, bruh. I decided the only way to win this is if I grind up to the point that I can one-shot Palpito to half max health against Excadrill. I know that I don't have to grind up a lot since I only need a tad bit more damage to take out the Palpito, so I fight the trainers and some wild Pokemon up near the cave that leaves Driftfield City. And I go back to this old man's house after seeing 50 Pokemon in the Pokedex, and he gives me a Shell Bell which restores 1/8 of health that you dealt to the enemy back to you, which doesn't really do that much, but it does help a little bit. At level 43, I get to move Flare Blitz, which does 150 damage, but deals a lot of damage back to you. The thing I figured out, though, is that Excadrill is part Steel type, which means Fire is super effective against it, and perhaps could be useful. But I try again now, and once again, Croc goes down in a one-tap from return. Next out is Palpito, who I'm able to use one-shot against with return, which means I'm now able to be full health against Excadrill. Luckily, Excadrill doesn't attack and uses Horn Claws, and I go for Flare Blitz, which, wow, one-shots. I'm not gonna lie, I wasn't expecting it to one-tap, but I will take it. I knew Clay would be difficult, but I didn't think I would have to grind for him or try that many times, but it could have been worse. Before leaving Driftfield, we have another battle against Bianca, and she first sends out her Herdier, who I get super low to return before it hits me with Takedown. Because I get low each time I use return, I force Bianca to use both of her Hyper Potions before taking it out with a final return. However, I'm under half health because of Takedown I was taking. But after Herdier is Pampor, who goes down easily against return, and then comes out Servine, who goes down just as an easy. Bianca's last Pokemon is Marshana, who surprisingly survives a Flare Blitz and uses Luggage Hand. And since Bianca uses all her heals, I use one more return to take out the Marshana out, which wins me the easy fight against Bianca. Before getting to Milstart City Gym, we have the battle against End. Now this actually took me 2 attempts because the first time I did this rule I wasn't able to do the job, and Tepig went down after a few super effective smackdowns. But I try again, and this time I set up my rollouts just like last time, but wow, I get dropped to 9 HP by a critical hit smackdown before rollout finishes him off. Rollout then proceeds to annihilate Joltik and Clink with a one-shot, and then my rollout runs out, and then End's last Pokemon Pharisee comes out. Since I didn't want to lose after beating Boldore, I just went all out using Flare Blitz. Now sure, Tepig did faint from making contact with Iron Bars, but you can see that Pharisee died first, which means Tepig wins. I'm not gonna lie, I don't know why, but for some reason Boldore and his other 2 evolutions have been the most annoying Pokemon in this game because they just do so much damage to me. And I don't have any super effective moves against them. I mean, Fire doesn't work against them, and for some reason normal type attacks doesn't work either. Raw is just the only thing I have that can do damage, but since it takes around 3 rounds to kill depending on the situation, Tepig might not be able to pull through just like the first attempt. But after climbing to the top of the tower and ringing it over a large bell, we can finally challenge the Flying Gym. Now this battle went, just about how you would expect. We get hit for a little bit of damage by Hard Stand before almost one-shotting Swoobat with a rollout. Skylar then heals up with a Hyper Potion, but Swoobat gets immediately put back down with one more rollout. Next comes out Swanna, who goes down after getting hit with a 3 times power rollout, and then Skyla sends out her last Pokemon, which is an Unpheasant, who sadly puts an end to my rollout and spins with a Whirlwind. On the next turn though, I go for a return and land a lucky critical hit to take it out. I knew this gym would be easy, but still they didn't even put up much of a fight. I mean, Swanna didn't even get a chance to fight back because she got put down immediately, but I knew the next gym would just be just as easy, but you know, we should see. Anyway, after leaving the gym, we're immediately approached by N, who rather than battling us, he just starts yapping for a whole 40 seconds before walking off. On our way from leaving my Strutton City gym, we're chased down by Chair for another rival battle. His first Pokemon out is an Unpheasant, and this has got to be the most annoying Pokemon because it somehow has not managed to get hit by Rollout 3 different times. And the problem is that it uses Detect every 2 seconds, which stops Rollout, and I just go for a return to finish it off. Next out is Oshawott, and it just barely survives a return and drops me to 11 HP with Water Pulse. I'll go for a return hoping to finish it off, but nope, Aqua Jet. For those who you don't know, Aqua Jet will always go first, as if it was Quick Attack, just way more powerful. I try to fight again and go for a turn instead of Rollout so that I didn't waste turns either missing on Unpheasant or Unpheasant just using the tech to stop Rollout's power. And after 2 returns, Unpheasant goes down and I'm still full health. The wall comes out and once again just barely survives a return before hitting me with Water Pulse. Surprisingly though, it doesn't go for Aqua Jet or Heals, which allows me to use Return to finish it off. Next out is Liper, who makes me flinch with a Fake Out, but then gets one-shotted by Return. Sharon's last Pokemon out is a Simisear, and because of Torment, I can't use Return 2 times in a row, so I just go for Rollout, which does around half of health, and after taking a Flame Burst, one more Rollout is enough to take it out to win me yet again another rival fight. The next major battle is the Ice Gym, and I want you guys to take a guess on how this goes. Well, yeah, that wasn't hard at all. You know what was hard though? This next rival battle against Bianca. Now just to sum up what's happening here and why I'm losing, alright? So the first attempt I go for Rollout, which due to Stylin's crazy defense, he starts just eating these Rollouts, and after healing, it takes 4 Rollouts to take it out. 4, bruh! And since I wasted 4 turns of taking damage, I'm left on 40 HP for Simipour, which, yeah, that's not gonna work. The next turn I just go for a return, but it doesn't do enough damage, and after 3 returns, Bianca heals up and I get taken out after getting Stoutland down to red. The next turn I then tried going for Flare Blitz, which does a lot of damage, but then when I use this first, Bianca heals, and then when I try to use this again, sure, take out Stoutland, but not only do I take damage from it, but I also take a lot of damage from Rico from Flare Blitz. Though, I was finally able to use my brain and go for a return first so that Bianca didn't heal, and then since Styline doesn't attack and use Work Up, I'm able to use Flare Blitz to knock it out. Simipour comes out and I get a lucky critical hit return for a one-shot. Simipour is out next, who gets obliterated by Flare Blitz, and then lastly Mashana comes out, who tanks a Flare Blitz and gets me down to 30 HP with Fire Beam before I go for one final return to take it out. The few attempts this took were annoying, but when you really think about it, this fight really wasn't even hard. It was mostly just common sense. I mean, as long as I use Return first and then Flare Blitz on Stoutland, then I'm able to take it out easily, and then I'm able to easily take it out and be left with enough health to survive a hit from Pimp, or even if it didn't get a critical hit. However, now that we made it to the final gym after battling the Dragon Gym. First out extracts you, and since it only uses Dragon Dance, we're able to take it out with only 3 rollouts. Jolteon is down next, and it goes down from 1 rollout, and I take minor damage from its Rough Skin ability, but now finally we have to fight Haxorus. And if we please hit nice, oh yeah, 5 times rollout is enough to one-shot it, which wins us our final gym badge we need for the run. But before we can go to Victory Road, Sharon wants to battle us to see if we're ready to fight N. And man, is this battle the hardest one of the run yet. Now I'm not even going to get into great detail about each attempt, but to sum it up, this battle was so difficult because Samurai. And the reason is because every time we're able to barely take an Aqua Tail in the red and get Samurai to half health, and we would take it out with the next rollout, but Aqua Tail just always goes first, which means every time we get taken out. But now having the Rocket Helmet, it is helpful because if you guys can notice, after every time I hit Samurai, it takes a little bit of extra damage. But from the level I'm at now, there's just no way I'm going to be able to win this. So I used a few rare candies to see if at level 67 this would be possible, and the short answer is no, it's not. However, we're getting Samurai really low, which means all we need to do is a little bit more damage for it to take it out itself out after taking damage from Rocky Helmet. I tried getting level 69 and it would take out an Unpheasant without taking any damage. And we get Samurai so low, but it's just not enough. I tried getting at level 70 and oh my god, Samurai just survives on the smallest little bit of health before taking us out. Finally though, at level 71, I'm able to take out the Unpheasant with 2 rollouts without taking any damage, and then wow, we're rollout critical hits for a one-shot. Next up is Liper, who goes down from a one-shot rollout, and then Simisear also goes down from a single rollout. Alright, now I know you guys might be thinking, I just got really lucky that I got a critical hit, and yes, you are right about that. However, there's a chance that even if I didn't, Samurott would have died after hitting me by taking damage from Rocky Helmet, and since it would outspeed both Lightbird and Simisear, that means I would have just been able to survive on the smallest little bit of health, even if I did get hit by Samurott. Either way though, a win is a win, and after attempting and grinding for around 1 to 2 hours, I really don't care. As long as I get lucky, I don't really care if I get lucky as long as I was done with that dumb fight. Finally though, I make it to the Elite 4 and I try this fight against Marshall first, but this just isn't happening. See, I fail a few attempts first against Throw, but as soon as I come up with a way to take him out, with first return and then Flare Blitz, and it works and takes him out. The problem is that despite being 23 levels higher, Sokka is still able to outspeed me and always takes me out with the Stone Edge. I decided to save him for later and try to fight Chantel, and this still isn't working. I'm able to take out Cofagrigus with a few rollouts, but Gerlich is just too strong and is able to survive a roll and the yellow, but that takes me out with an Earthquake. So what I'm seeing right now, if I grind up a few more levels, then I will be able to one-shot Golurk and probably the rest of Chantel's team too. And as for Marshall, I believe with a few more levels, I know that I will be able to one-shot Throw and then either outspeed or at least take a hit from Stalk so that I can finish it off. However, I have a feeling it's Sturdy ability, which means that unless Marshall heals, I'm able to outspeed both times, but I'm not sure how I'm gonna get past Sawk. But I decided to take the time to grind up a few levels, and I tried this fight against Chantel again once I'm at level 78. She sends out Cofagrigus, and just like last time, I go for my rollout strategy, and Tepig almost takes half of its health from Shadow Ball. But after 3 rollouts, Cofagrigus goes down. Next out is Golurk, and Aroa is now able to take it out. Jellicent comes out next, and I was unsure about Roa being able to kill it, but luckily I didn't have to worry, and Jellicent went down with a 5 times powered rollout. Lastly is Chandelure, and I go for Roa, which misses, causing me to take a payback for a little damage. But I go for Roa again, and after landing 2 hits, Chandelure goes down, and I'm finally able to beat Chantel and her dumb ghost types. Next on the list though is Caitlyn, and the first 2 attempts against her don't go so well. The first attempt I start off using my rollout strategy, and I'm able to take out her Reniculus with 3 rollouts, but she takes me out all the way to 53 HP from spamming Psychic before she goes down. Next, Gothelion comes out, and you would think a 4 times rollout would take it out, right? Well, it probably would if Tepig wasn't so fat and slow to where he misses rollout and then gets taken out by a single Psychic. The second attempt I tried using only return instead to make sure that I didn't miss my shots. This time, and this works, and I'm able to take out the Reniculus and Gothelion, but they get me super low. And since Rashana just love to eat my hit like they're nothing, we're not able to one-shot with return, and we faint to 1 Psychic once again. I don't know why every time, but I fight Caitlyn, I always add a Psychic. Like, is this the only one move she has, or am I just bugging or something, bro? Anyway, I try again for the 3rd time. I go for rollouts again until I take out the Reniculus, and the time able to hit my shots, and 1 rollout is enough to take it out. The Gothelion. Also, I clicked the Shell Bell for any of you that are wondering how I was getting health back each round. But Marshana comes out, and even with the 55% accuracy, Tepig is able to land a 5th rollout to one-shot the Marshana. Caitlyn's last Pokemon is Sigalith, and since it's a flying type, I go for a super effective rollout, doing half damage. After taking a Psychic, I'm able to use 1 final rollout to take it out. Remember, I go against his Grimly, and I'm able to easily get past his Scrafty with a few hits with return, but Crocodile hits super hard with Earthquake and eventually takes me out. Now I tried this fight so many times and I felt super dumb for this because, as you're about to see in this final attempt, I just dominate Grimly's entire team with ease by just spamming Flare Blitz with the help of the Shell Bell for a win. So really all I had to do was just use Flare Blitz this whole time and I would have been able to win. But that's all behind me now, and what's in front of me is this final Elite 4 battle against Marshall. Now let me tell you, his entire team was a joke. I mean, I completely one-shotted his entire team with Flare Blitz without them even getting a chance to attack. Sokka is the only one who actually put up much of a fight due to Sturdy, but after I forced Marshall to use all his heals, I am able to just finish off his Sokka off. Alright, so now we have the end fight, and don't even get me started on this fight. I mean, I tried so many times and just failed every single time. I mean, Zekrom himself was strong, but even when I managed to defeat Zekrom, Caracosta comes out and uses Aqua Jet on me to finish me off since I'm super low with Zekrom. So there's only one obvious thing to do, and that was to grind. So I spent about an hour just fighting N over and over and over again until level 93, and after defeating Caracosta, the rest of his team just becomes an entire joke as Roa just starts to wipe them all. Which finally, after 3 hours, I'm able to defeat N. But now finally is the final major battle of the game against Ghetsis, and this fight did take me a few attempts, but it was mainly because of his Hydreigon being able to use Surf, but Return actually brings him to the yellow, which means all I have to do is either be able to one-shot or just outspeed to be able to take it out. So what I do is that just by fighting him over and over again a few times, being able to one-shot his whole team and get a strategy going, I go to level 98, where I'm finally able to take out his Hydreigon after a few hits, and then comes out Electros, who manages to barely survive a hit and does little damage before I finish it off. Which finally, with that, we have beating Pokemon Black, which is Tepig. Now I know we can refight the Elite Four and fight the champion, and I would do that, and I did try, but you know, I just can't seem to win. And I'm sure that there's a strategy to win this, but after spending a total of 24 hours on this challenge alone, I'm officially done. But I mean, in general, this still wasn't that bad as hard gold, you know, challenge, which took me 40 hours to complete. So I'm happy. But the next challenge I'll be doing is trying to beat Pokemon Blue with only a Squirtle. So stay tuned if you guys want to see that, and I will try to have it out by Friday next week. But I hope you guys enjoyed the challenge, and I will see you guys next time. Peace.